Everyone ready?
Yep.
Anyone not ready? I'll ask you that.
I don't have an apron.
Okay.
I have an apron.
Oh, I got one that I borrowed from Joe. But no, I'll this first loaner. We'll loan it around. Oh, yeah, that was the one I brought in the beginning, but it's all right. That's what I couldn't find.
Did you find it?
There we go. Yeah. Now everybody's 10.
That's the agenda. Oh, that's the agenda.
Is this the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's the agenda.
All right. It is 7:04. I apologize for starting late, and I'm calling us to order. Welcome to Advisory Neighborhood Commission 5F. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here in the room, and then 1 virtually. Commissioner Anderson, if you are there, would you mind calling the roll, or I can call it if you're not able to do it.
Sorry, but you might be able to get it in the background. Happy to call roll. And Commissioner Anderson, myself, we're here. Commissioner Richardson.
Sorry, you're a little garbled. Why don't I do this right now? Sorry. All right. Commissioner Anderson is here. She was just there. Commissioner Bishop Henchman here. Commissioner Galvan here. Commissioner Hurst
Here.
Commissioner Pinckney.
I do not see her online.
I'll call again. Commissioner Sani.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Pinckney. All right. So we have 6 here, 1 absent. That is quorum. Next item is public comment, up to 2 minutes per speaker. We welcome members of the public to speak on any topic they wish, either in the room, raise your hand, or online, use the raise hand feature and we will call on you. Yes, sir, you're recognized. You can give your name and.
Yeah, Larry Greenhill Jr., Charleston Contracting, electrical contractor. I'm here today with our business partners. Ms. Lavonna Woods from Alpha Power Alarm Company. She's actually worked by CDE, Certified Business Enterprise, and our business partner, Mr. Leroy Robinson, electrical contractor, all electricians. We're here today to express our concern about the Edgewood 2 Garden Apartments that we recently submitted a bid on with a contractor named Harkins Builders. Harkins Builders is actually, what is it, 611? This was.
They do 611 and the garden.
They're doing 611 and the garden apartments. So we put in electrical bids for both of those projects. And we recently told by Harkins that we did not win the Edgewood 2 Garden Apartments, right? And so we understand that it's free market. But what we found out is that the electrical contractor that they did award it to is from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Okay. And so, and then we had one of our other business partners here too, Mr. Robinson, who made it through the rain to get here.
Welcome.
What we're actually requesting, and we're hoping that you all can help us, is to bring someone from Harkins Builders and the electrical contractors from Gaithersburg, Daniel Steinman Electric, bring them here to give the community an update on whether they're going to be hiring water DC residents for their projects, whether they have a registered apprenticeship program, whether it's supposed to be, because we were told it was supposed to be CDE. Are you all familiar with the CDE program? Certified Business Ed. Okay, so we were told that Harkins reached out to us and said that there was going to be CDE participation on this project, right? So we were in extensive back and forth. 11th hour, they said, no, we're going with this company from Gaithersburg. So we're just wondering if there's going to be any CDE participation at all, any Ward 5 residents from the community on this project in Mrs. Woods' backyard. So that's what we're here to do today, to speak to you all about, and we're hoping we can get your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Oh,
Please.
okay. Okay, my name is Lavon Woods. I live
Welcome.
in the 500 block of Edgewood Street. And these are my business partners, and we do have an apprenticeship program. We actually are instructors to give up our time on the weekends, and we teach apprentices to be journeyman electricians. And our hope, my hope was, I mean, because you all live around here. I mean, people, you know, there's a guy that I knew that got killed right here. My hope is to try to get the young people into the trades. So our plan was to hire these people, send them through our election program, just like we're doing in Ward 8. He's a Ward 8 business owner, and his apprentices, our apprentices come from Ward 8, and they're on his project, and that's what we wanted to do in Ward 5. Because I lived in this ward in the same house for 51 years. This was my first job, Andrew Recreation Center, when it was a house. So it's like a slap in the face to me when I see a contractor come from Gaithersburg. And I'm looking, and I'm standing on my porch, and I'm looking at the project that they're going to do. And I'm a certified business enterprise. I'm an electrical contractor. We all are. You're looking at 100 years of electrical experience here. So to tell us that we didn't win it by such a, what was the number?
27,000.
27,000. But that's when usually how that works is they'll look at it and say, oh, well, you're a little high. Can you look at this, that? They didn't do any of that. They engineered, they gave us the project, they talked us through the whole 11 hour, like you said, and said, no, we're going to give it to Richard Steinberg.
Daniel Stein.
Daniel Steinman Electric. So, and then, because they were requiring CB participation from us, they were requiring us to comply with the first source and all, Section 3 and all that, because they reached out to them. We checked off all those boxes. But does Steinman, you know, we just want them to come here, because when we talked to them, they said, oh, we're working with the Brooklyn Edgewood Collaborative, you know, support group. In what capacity are you working with? Are you gonna get your manpower from them? I don't know. So we just want those questions asked. I mean, so, because I don't like, you can't come into, I can call this my community because I've been here so long, and not hire our residents.
Thank you. Other speakers?
Oh, yeah, I'll speak.
Yes, sir. You can just give your name.
My name is Rickwan Robinson. I work for my father's company, Robinson's LLC. We're based in Ward 8. And just to piggyback off what my partner said about the project that we bid on, it's not that we're not capable to do it. We have a project in Ward 8 that's double the size in value. And the question that, you know, we all have is that, why isn't this work coming to us? Because where we live here, all our workers are in DC, you know, so it doesn't just benefit our business, but DC residents, you know, it gives them jobs. And as a Black-owned business, we can't go into Gaithersburg and get work.
Exactly.
You know, we can only get work right here. So when you have other people coming from outside our community, they're taking jobs from us. So, you know.
Thank you.
My name is Leroy
Yes,
Robinson, Robinson's LLC. So what we do is we have about 12 businesses throughout the wards in DC. We bid on a project, we come together, we break it up. Like this, actually put in the bid for that because my capacity is large, but when we get the project, we break it up. So we give an power line part of the work. Charles, man, a couple of Cab Electric. Anyway, they already knew that, what we was doing, because my capacity is 2 million. That project was 400? Yeah, $500,000. They had another project that was 6 million, but they said, come on, bonding capacity. They was trying to figure out how we can get all of us bonded, like each company get $1 million bond or whatever. But they said, would you be comfortable with getting the smaller one? And I was like, yeah, we wanted to get that one. But when it came down to it, like the bond was on our power line stated, it was $27,000. And I'm just confused. We helped engineer the project on a bigger project. That's Edgewood
611.
How do you don't give some project to somebody that's a CBE Section 3 DC residents apprenticeship program to somebody in Gaithersburg? So that just flows beat on that. So yeah, but it's not. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone online? Not seeing anyone.
There is no one raising.
All right, anyone else in the room?
I'd love to just quickly respond, like, I was just reading about the CP program and the ways that it can be manipulated today. And so, I definitely, like, this feels like a cut and dry textbook case of this, so I'd love to work with y'all. And if both the council member and Family Support Collaborative and some other folks will be at the Brooklyn Health Fair tomorrow, that we're at the Brooklyn Manor, the Saratoga Health Fair that we're doing, which I'll announce later, but in case I had to leave, because I have to leave at 8:30, want to make sure y'all come to that if you can, sometimes 2 to 6 or so.
What's it gonna be?
Saratoga and 14.
You know what time?
It's 2 to 6.
2 to 6, I'm sorry.
I'm going to close public comment and then we can go to response to public comment from any commissioner. If any commissioner wants to respond to that.
Yeah, I'll respond.
Mr.
So, most of my professional experience isn't in, it is not in relation to private contract. Was this a private contract or a developer? Essentially, this is not a DC government bid job. Is that correct?
I believe it's just
It is a
The-
private contract.
It's a private contract. So when, and this is where I don't understand as much, but when they bid, right, they put some requirements that says everyone needs to follow these requirements, right? And then what it sounds like to me is at the last minute, they changed that requirement, or there's issue with the fact that they are partnering with someone else, but the company itself and the money is going to an outside organization or outside companies. Is that correct? You
basically
just want to understand. Okay.
not from the district.
Yeah. No, I can understand the frustration there. I think I'm just wondering if it's their prerogative, like, can they actually make those changes, or does like the district government require them to, if they say they do something, that they have to stick with those requirements? And I guess it's tough for you to know because it's not transparent, right? Whether or not they are actually complying with that. And that's why you're requesting to bring someone in to essentially have those questions answered. Is that right?
Yes, because they weren't in compliance when they did 601. Because I looked at, because that's public knowledge, whether, for the first source.
Yeah.
And it said they weren't. So.
Got it. So maybe they partnered with someone else, or maybe they're skirting that law. Got it. Okay.
That's a great, just to dovetail off of that, like this was, the project, yeah, so the project, and so it's a sense of urgency, the project is only 6 months. It's renovating the garden 2, just Edgewood 2, I'm sorry, Edgewood 2. The garden was, all they're doing is going in there, doing what, the smoke detectors. Changing light fixtures, right? So that was something in our wheelhouse that they had talked about us as a CBA getting. And so what ends up happening is they only have to report to DOES 2 quarters. So by the time you blink, the project will be over with, and they'll skate out of here with $500,000 worth of work and never hire anybody from the Edgewood Collaborative, so on and so forth. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. So you're just talking about the gardens. They didn't add you in for the whole
So.
611.
So it came out, it said, so if you look at the ITB, the intended bid, it came out as one project. It said, this is, we consider this one project. But then they broke it up. They broke it up and we bid both of them. The other one was, who's the amount for the other?
So the total bid was 1.6 million, I believe.
Yeah, so the other one's like maybe 1.1 million, something like that. But they haven't sent us anything regarding that. I don't know if that has been awarded.
Right, so we haven't heard anything since our last.
Conversation. We did a brief.
That's why I said 6 months.
Yeah.
That's an 18-month project.
Yeah, so we haven't received anything about, So they asked us for our best and final offer. Like they were really considering it, and then all of a sudden it was like, but we haven't heard anything back from 6/11.
Yeah, and to dovetail off of Commissioner Galvin's question, so yeah, it's a private development project, right? So, it doesn't have the strict, first source requirements, so on and so like those DC funds in it. But with that being said, right, they do first source reporting for the apprentices, so on and so forth. Daniel Steinholding, we did some research, they are a registered electrical apprenticeship program with DOES. So they are supposed to have DC residents out there, right? So what we just like to do is hopefully either Councilman Parker's office or you all, someone can send them an email, maybe Harkins Builders, asking them to come give the community an update. Come talk to the community. This is what we're doing over the next 6 months. I don't know if that's something that's possible. That's what our business part, because we understand the free market. Yes, we lost the project by $27,000. Okay. Okay, but anyway, we bid, we lose, right? We understand this. We're not sore losers, right? We understand it. But when we do see something not right going on here, and so we're hoping that if everything is on the up and up and they're doing what they're supposed to do, then they should gladly come in here, tell us an update, tell us what they're doing, hiring from the community, so on and so forth, and what's going on in 611, because we have
Move fast.
Okay.
To be straight up, right?
Yes.
Like, we can't, I mean, I don't know if y'all are going on a break next.
I mean,
Next month, but.
I don't know if anybody else wanted to speak, but
Yeah.
you've connected with Mr. Bonner and Councilmember Parker's office. I think that's good. I think you're talking to the right people. I know you've spoken to Commissioner Williams. This is in her district. I know she's engaged in it. So I think you've connected with the right people, and hopefully something can come of it. And I think you've laid out the issue well. The only thing I can really add to it, at least at this point, is I represent down in Eckington. We got a lot of construction projects going on in Eckington.
Yeah.
If you make sure to give me your firm's information, I'll make sure that people know there's a great local company looking to do work in the neighborhood, and can handle any project, including some of the giant hundreds of units apartment buildings that we're doing in Eckington. I know that's not what you came to ask for, but that's something that I can do at least. So, any other commissioner?
And I did want to make one public announcement.
All right.
So on behalf of Robinson's LLC in Barn Woods, in Ward 8, we did win a project. It's the Douglas at the Bridge District, the Frederick Douglass at the Bridge District, right there on the park and ride side. And we'll be looking to hire Ward 8 residents as well as DC residents. And so what we're committed to do as well, we've been going to our ANC meetings, and we're going to come to Ms. Woods meetings on 5 and 4, and we're going to make these announcements and try to hold these developers and these subcontractors, these electrical contractors from Florida, from Virginia. This is what we're doing, giving the community updates and also looking, if you guys know any, people that are interested in the electrical apprenticeship program, we're looking to hire and train people, from the community, and we're partnered with Red Brick L&D. They actually own property, and Power Design. So Power Design is I don't know, maybe some of you have seen some of the buildings around here, but they've done a lot of electrical work in Eckington.
Yes.
And so they are one of our business partners that, Mr. Robinson mentioned, and we're committed to come back here, monthly and give you all updates on, good, bad, and different, so thank you.
And if you want to send me any of this information, you can send it to all of us. But obviously, more people read the emails than are brave the rain to be here tonight. So we can get it out to more people. Commissioner Sani, and then Commissioner Williams.
That's exactly what I was
Okay,
gonna say.
Commissioner Williams.
I can also just.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have done that earlier.
okay.
That concludes response to public comment. Next item is approval of the agenda. And Commissioner Galvin, I believe you have an amendment.
Sorry, my
Try
mistake.
that.
Round two.
Everyone awake now?
Yes, I would like to request amending the agenda to allow the DC Public Library. I told them previously that we would add them to the agenda, and it slipped my mind, so my apologies, and just want to see if they can be added to agenda item 13 to present for 10 minutes and have some opportunity for feedback on what the DC Public Library is doing to add into the Edgewood and Eckington neighborhood.
So it's 13B.
Yes.
Or between what's currently A and B, and then renumber accordingly.
Correct.
All right, Commissioner Galvin moves to add a presentation by the DC Public Library as item 13B. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani, just ahead of Commissioner Anderson. Is there any objection? Without objection. I would also, I have a motion to move Mr. Bonner's presentation at his request to 9A. He has a commitment. He has lots of commitments. Mr. Bonner does. So we're glad he's here today with us. And that will allow him to share some exciting developments about how Councilmember Parker has transformed how people give testimony to the DC Council that we all want to hear about. So that'll be the motion I make. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Galvin. Is there any objection? Without objection. Further amendments? The chair then will move the adoption of the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Without objection, so adopted. All right. Next item is referral of items to committees. Do any of the, I don't think it's the case, but does anybody want any of the referred items or the items that we're considering to go to committee, or does anybody have anything they would like to send to committee? All right, well, resuming along here. Next is approval of the minutes of the May 23rd regular meeting. Commissioner Galvin.
Yes, meeting minutes were distributed late on the evening of 5/23 and posted to the website shortly thereafter. And I'd like to motion to approve the minutes from the May 23rd meeting as they are currently posted on the website.
Commissioner Galvin moves to adopt the minutes. Is there any discussion or amendments? This is more clerical, but it says on every page but the first page, it says minutes of the February meeting.
Yes.
I think there's a template thing.
I will fix that.
Any amendments? Seeing none, the chair moved that we adopt, or you already moved. So is there a second to adopt the minutes?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there any objection? Without objection. We are zooming along today. All right, next item is officer reports. First one is me, the chair. You know what, I'll yield the report. There's a lot going on, but very end when we're in a rush. So next up is, but I haven't answered your questions. Maybe some questions. Okay. Next item is vice chair report, Commissioner Anderson.
I also yield.
All right. Treasurer's report, Commissioner Hurst.
We have our newest bank statement, which I will submit for the record. We have only $2, which is a bank fee, to print that statement. We have 4 expenses that are pending approval. All have been properly submitted, 3 by Commissioner Sani, 1 by Commissioner Bishop Henchman. I'll quickly read what those expenses are, and it would be great if we could get a vote to approve them or to discuss them if need be. It's $158.89 for 1 year of Zoom Pro, $15.89 for 1 month of Zoom Pro, and $9.76 for 1 year of our domain name for ANC5F from Commissioner Sani. From Commissioner Bishop Henchman, it is $194 for the 1 year rental of our PO box that we have a mailing address.
So I'm just adding up because those first three were all for Commissioner Sani.
Yes.
All right, that adds up to 184.54, I think. I'm a lawyer, not good at math, so correct me if that's wrong. All right, so
For
how I would suggest we do that is we suspend the rules to amend the agenda to add as item I, Commissioner Sani's reimbursement, and then we'll take them up when we vote on everything.
Okay.
So Commissioner Hurst moves to add as item I, 11I, Commissioner Sani's reimbursement for 184.54. Is there a second for
Second.
so amending the agenda?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Is there any objection? All right, so that is added. Back to you. Anything further?
No, that is the entire report. The ending balance is $9,180, and we will near the end of the summer be submitting to get our next disbursement. So
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Secretary's report, Commissioner Galvan.
No, I yield my time.
All right. Committees and task forces, alcohol licensing. Is Ms. Coughlin on?
She is.
Right, we ask her to unmute herself.
You may not have much to report, but
Yeah.
it's on.
Hi, Melissa Coughlin. So yeah, thank you for making me the chair of the Alcohol Licensing Committee last month. And yeah, we haven't done anything, but if you are on the committee, expect to hear from me as we figure out how to stand this thing up.
Thank you, Ms. Coughlin. Any questions? All right, public safety, health, and community engagement, Commissioner Galvan.
Yes. So we met on Wednesday, May 31st at 6:30 p.m. in Tanner Park. Had a discussion about kind of the values and what we're really interested in doing for the community with respect to each of those, public safety and health, and develop some high-level goals for what we are doing. The meeting minutes are posted to the website as well. Our next big step really is to get the word out about what ANC5F is doing, and compiling all of the different information that's really necessary so that people know A, we exist, B, what types of things and information they can get from us, and C, where to find us for our meetings and how to participate and get resources from us. So we had about 6 or 7 people show up and kind of brainstorm with us, and so we're working on a Google Doc to compile everything. I'm hopeful that I can work with some of the other commissioners here to help develop almost like an initial newsletter to tell people about us and what we do. So next meeting should be in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll be sure to post that on the website when it's ready. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Galvan. Zoning and development, we've not selected a chair yet, so we'll skip that. Task force and outreach. I'm sorry, I skipped transportation. Transportation, public space, Commissioner Sani.
Nothing to report. We've been trying to coordinate our calendars so we can get a meeting with our new members on the books and select either a recurring meeting time or an alternating series of meeting times to accommodate people with conflicting schedules, just so we can get something regular to meet up on. But that is the report steps.
Thank you. Task force and outreach, back to you.
Currently assessing our needs. Let's see if WordPress.com will be sufficient for our permanent website. Bit of a slow go just to make sure that we are checking all of our boxes, both with current needs and possible future needs.
I do have a comment, I guess, on that. OANC is being innovative right now. So, for instance, they have a printer that commissioners can use now to print commission-related business in the Wilson Building. They're also looking at more direct website help. The timeline on that is not soon. It's more in the 6 to 12 month frame range. They're basically exploring to see whether ANC websites can feasibly be folded into DC.gov websites. So it's more of a feasibility study, but if the commission is interested in being a guinea pig, since we've got to do it anyways, I'm sure they would be interested in doing that. So just something for you to be aware of.
Thank you for letting me know. I will add it to my list.
All right, Library Task Force, still without a chair, but we'll hear more about the library in a moment. That concludes item 8. Item 9, presentations relating to agenda items. And our first one is Sam Bonner, designee from Council Member Parker's office.
Please,
Sorry.
give me a second, please, I have a question. With these committee and task force, will you send out the dates of these meetings
Yes, please do
and
that.
location to all the commissioners?
Yes, I think that's important to do.
Thank you, that's all. Go ahead, Mr. Sain.
Mr. Bonner, I'm told it would be best if you stand here for people participating online to hear.
Yeah, well, hello, everyone. Can they see me or no?
I mean, do you want to be seen?
You can stand here if you want.
I don't know. About
Okay.
that.
There we
Well,
go.
There we go. There we go.
I don't know if I want to be seen or not. Either way, I wasn't sure. Hey everyone, I'm Sam Bonner. I live just down Lincoln Road in Rhode Island, and I'm Constituent Services Coordinator for agencies 5E and 5F for Council Member Zachary Parker, the Ward 5 Council Member. And yeah, the big thing that's happening is tomorrow is the Brooklyn Manor Health Fair. I understand not everyone in Edgewood wants to go to Brooklyn Manor, but I want to make sure we're doing this more and more and doing them across the city. And the Family Support Collaborative, which is housed in Edgewood, is responsible for the whole ward, actually in Ward 6 too. So I'm hoping we can start to have better systems and better communication and coordination between the trusted leaders in the different communities in our ward. And one of the ways that could happen is having more folks sign up to testify and actually come into these community hearings. Even if it isn't always on the bill, you can always use that opportunity to talk about whatever issue might be important to you while you have the ear. The Housing Committee Director is Robert White, so I also suggest calling his office and asking for his committee. That's all to say, one of the first acts that the council member did was to propose to the rules a change where it makes it easier, a simplified process for signing up to testify at hearings instead of to kind of read through which hearing and then you got to read through and a whole other thing and find their rules and then do it. So trying to make a standardized process. And so now on any hearing notice, you can just sign up to testify. One of the, I think symbolically powerful, though systemically not as much, things that we've introduced amongst other bills is renaming a bunch of streets across Ward 5 for famous Black leaders as part of our history. And so there's a hearing on that, I believe July, I think the 13th. So if you want that, I can definitely send you all afterwards. So you can send it out. If you want to sign up to testify, it's much easier nowadays. And you'll get the Zoom link and stuff. And I don't know if this one will be in person, but they did have an in-person hearing today. It was very big hearing. So moving on from testifying, today the big thing that the council member was up to was listening to hearings and testimony about the mayor's bill she titled Safer Stronger. It's her crime bill. There's a lot of focus on 3 issues, really, that it might reverse some of the IRA, which has been really helpful for folks to get a second chance and support our returned citizens and their families. And also the pretrial detention of youth, which this bill would increase that. And I think there's a lot of concerns around over incarcerating or just using more incarceration as the answer to our issues with cars being stolen, frankly, for a lot of the main issues. There's a lot of back and forth, and you know, I don't know exactly how that process is going to go forward from now. It's, you know, it's obviously the kind of most hot button issue in the whole city right now, and there was, you know, a lot of raised what's the word I'm looking for? Tensions, I guess. That said, if you want to hear about what the council member has proposed for public safety, we do have a public safety plan, ward5.us/safety plan. Maybe it was public safety. I think it's safety plan though. And yeah, it's incomplete. The mayor is in charge of a lot of those agencies, but we do think that we have a lot of the programs, a lot of things people ask for. People complain about contracting. People complain about all of these things. We have programs. We're spending money to address these things. We're spending money on violence interruption. We're giving all the money we can to police on hiring bonuses. But there's something just isn't working right. And so we need more of that kind of coordination and actual communication. You know, we're still trying to figure out how that looks like for the council member to be able to play that role, especially only in one ward. But we're hopeful, and yeah, I definitely want to engage more folks around these ideas because there is a police attrition crisis, and you know, we even if the council and they have given all this money to the police, if our answer just keeps being, well, we just need more police, it's a moot point because they can't hire more police. They cannot do it. And so what else can we do? What does another safety professional role look like that would be unarmed, that people would want to step into maybe? And we did start that conversation. It will be a longer conversation for School Safety Act, which was passed. The first part of it was passed in the budget to establish a kind of alternative to police that would be in schools and all schools to add capacity to be this kind of unarmed safety professional. And I think it makes sense to have unarmed folks in the schools. That was a lot I just shared. So happy to share answer any questions or thoughts or follow-ups.
Great. We'll start with questions from commissioners, then questions in the room, then questions online. So questions from commissioners. I guess you covered it all. Questions in the room? Yes, sir.
You said tomorrow, because you sent me the email. What is that exactly again? That you said it's
like a block party, a health fair. So there's going to be different vendors, there's going to be different like service providers, stuff for kids. 2 to 6. Yeah.
2 to 6.
Yeah.
Questions online? Use the raise hand feature.
I do not see any questions.
Not seeing any, but Mr. Bonner, you're easy to get a hold of. Remind everybody your email address.
Yes, it's SBONAR, Sam Bonner. Everyone always gets it wrong. It's okay though. It was tough in middle school. But at dccouncil.gov. And then the other thing I want to say is why I'm leaving early is DDOT, the Department of Transportation, is in charge of streetlights. They're going to go through this new process of reinstalling or replacing for energy efficiency. And I'm hoping I asked them that they address, because I know everyone doesn't always like the color of the light and how like it makes you feel. So I'm hoping that they haven't already made all these decisions, but we're going to talk to the director tonight afterwards. So that's why and it has to be late because the lights have to be on. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is Mr. Tattleman on the Found Art exhibition on Earth Day in Alethea Tanner Park. Mr. Tattleman, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm online through Zoom. I don't know if I can now start the video. No, it says not. Anyway.
Can you try again?
Can you try one more time?
Sure. There we go. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you to the ANC for giving me this time. My name is Ira Tattleman. I'm a DC artist and organizer. Last year, I received a grant from the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities for a project called Found 2023, which took place in Alethea Tanner Park. It lasted through, I would say, March, April, and a bit of May. And so I am hoping to repeat this project in 2024. If you'd like, I can share my screen and I can show you some images from last year's project and describe that project and why I want to repeat it in 2024.
You should be able to.
Okay. Share screen. Broadcast.
And it's linked from the agenda document also. For presentation.
Yeah, on the agenda document, I had a, I'm still, oh, there we go. You're sharing screen. Okay. So basically what I found is it's a project that exhibits temporary community-made found object sculptures in the park. There were 3 workshops which took place at the picnic tables at the south end of the park. And after that, on Earth Day was the first exhibit, and we had 3 exhibits last year. And those little white squares are actually plywood boxes on which the 34 sculptures that were made were placed and were exhibited each day for public use and public viewing. This is an image from, I guess it's the second exhibit day, but you can see these sculptures that the community made. As I said, there were 34 of them. Everything in these projects is found objects that came from trash pickups, from there were 4 facilitators. Everyone brought some found objects as facilitators, and also from the community members who participated. They also brought objects. This gives you an idea of what some of these found object sculptures look like. Engage, fun. I don't think any of us predicted what would come out of the project. So we were all really excited and pleased with the results. The people who came, some of them signed up in advance through our website or Instagram page. And some of them were just, walking through the park or walking or riding along the bike path and saw that there was something going on and stopped and chose to participate. The project itself, we created these postcards and posters which advertise both the workshops and the exhibition dates. The postcards were given to local churches, to coffee shops, the posters were hung along the Metropolitan Bike Trail and the beer trail. And we also created posters for Metro. So at the Rhode Island Metro, as well as at the NOMA Metro, the DC Commission included funding for us to pay for these posters to appear at the Metro stops. And they were up for all of March and April. Again, advertising and promoting this project. This is some photos of the workshops and some of the people who participated in the project. We had about 50 people total who participated. And then these are some examples from the exhibition days. On the first day, we had a dedication ceremony where we talked about Earth Day. Eckington Parks and Arts also gave a speech, and we also talked a little bit about Earth Day and how it started and why it's important. And then the following week, we had some artist talks, both by local artists, but we also included some people around the country who work with found objects to kind of broaden the dialogue about this project. So that's all I need to share. And I appreciate everyone's time. And I am available if anyone wants to ask questions or give comments.
We'll start with questions from commissioners. I'll supply a comment. As Mr. Tattleman, at Mr. Tattleman's request, he's asked, he's trying to get his grant renewed, which is a grant from the Public Art Building Communities. So it's not ANC funds. I want to make that clear. It's an art fund in DC. And so he's asked support from us for a letter. He's also asked it from other members of the community. And I believe Eckington Civic Association has already approved a letter similar to the one that we'll be considering tonight. So I just wanted to add that as a comment. I was making a question. Did you know all that, Mr. Tattleman?
Yeah, I also just want to say the workshops are completely free to anyone who chooses to join. The exhibits are completely free. And all of this is funded through the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. It's a fund that promotes and gives some money to public art projects. Most of them are permanent public art projects, but I was able to get funding for this temporary project.
Thank you. Questions from commissioners? Any questions from the public? Not seeing any. Well, thank you, Mr. Tattleman. How can people reach you if they want to reach you?
My email is, and I'll put it in the chat, iratattleman@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. I believe that concludes presentations relating to agenda items. Next item will be public comment on agenda items, up to 2 minutes per speaker, where members of the public can again address the commission on any item that we'll be discussing today. It's like Mr. Aiello.
Yep.
I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but you're recognized, sir, if we can unmute him. There we go.
Thanks. I have a quick comment about the draft resolution for the TOA, the NOI TOA, about the 1500 block of Harry Thomas Way that DDOT's doing for creating some like loading zones. I was wondering if we could, while they're here, fix some striping across from the proposed loading zone. There's an alley across from the 1501 Harry Thomas Way apartment building that doesn't really have proper striping, and people park in front of the alley entrance. We tried to get them to fix it when they repaved Harry Thomas Way a few months ago, but the scope of that project didn't go all the way up to this area. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you, Mr. Aiello. And just to comment on that, I read your mind. And in fact, in the resolution, which supports what DDOT wants to do, but adds conditions. One of those conditions, actually the first condition, is to complete the road striping and crosswalk markings consistent with the original drawings there at Quincy Lane. So I think, and then certainly the submission that the commission will make if it passes, it will be to emphasize that as well. And thank you for all the hard work you've done to do that. If commissioners are not familiar, it is a literally half-done crosswalk. The crosswalk only goes halfway across the street at this location. Trying to get DDOT to finish that is, has been challenging. Mr. Aiello has been at the front lines of it, and we got this project right next door. Thank you. Other public comment on agenda items?
We have a chat comment.
If you want to.
So from Aaron G, specifically on that topic, could we also have some traffic enforcement there? I live at the corner of the Woonerf and Harry Thomas, and the crosswalks are a death trap. Noted.
And that's something that we've heard a lot about. And I know there's discussion from the businesses and residents associations on Quincy Lane about traffic calming measures that, and we're trying to loop DDOT in on those conversations.
Yeah, I'll make
Okay.
a
Commissioner
comment
Gilman.
that, yeah, I know that MPD has added some bicycle patrol, although I don't think that's probably most effective against speeding drivers necessarily, or people who don't care as much about following the law at that location. I will reach out to the commander and ask if we can have just someone sit there for a little bit to kind of watch it, and hopefully deter it. So I'll take that action to reach out and request that.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't think we have any more questions from people in the room. Any more from online?
I do not see any hands raised.
All right, so that will close public comment on agenda items. Next item is the consent agenda. We have 9 items of business in front of us. Does any commissioner wish to pull any of those items for the action agenda?
Yes.
Commissioner Galvan?
I'm really excited about the resolution on the better bus proposals.
You don't need to explain, you can pull.
Yeah, let's
All right.
let's pull it. I'd like to make a
Okay.
small adjustment.
Other pulls? Not seeing any. I will move that we adopt the consent agenda consisting of items A, B, D, E, F, G, H, and I. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Well, we will call the roll on it. And no disrespect to Commissioner Anderson, I'll call the roll on it. So, did you have a comment?
Yeah,
Commissioner Williams?
the Harry Thomas Way, isn't that part of still Commissioner, Pinckney's SMD?
That project's in Eckington Place divides the two. It's on my side of it.
As well as her?
It's on the line, I guess, but the project itself is in mine.
But don't you think we need to have her input as well as yours?
If you'd like to pull it, you can pull it.
Or can I pull E?
Fully. All right, I will amend my motion to be ABDFGHI. Do you still second?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurst still seconds. So now we will call the roll on that. Commissioner Anderson. We'll come back to her. Commissioner Bishop Henchman votes yes. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes.
Commissioner Pinckney. Commissioner Sonic.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson.
I think she might have dropped.
Okay. It is a bear for yes, 0 no. All right, consent agenda is adopted. Moving to the action agenda. I will yield the chair since I sponsored both these items we're discussing about. Commissioner Anderson is missing. That means Commissioner Hurst.
All right.
Willing to serve as acting chair.
All right. There are 2 resolutions on the floor. The first one is C, which is resolution of Rhode Island Avenue Northeast Better Bus Proposals and Safety Improvements. Would anyone like to speak to this resolution?
Yes, I'm the sponsor.
Okay. The acting chair recognizes Commissioner.
So WMATA is for the first time in 50 years. Generally, their concept is to move away from routes that try to do too many things. So right now we have a lot of routes that start in neighborhoods, go on arterials, go downtown, go back to arterials, go back to neighborhoods, and maybe get stuck in a lot of traffic, maybe don't carry a lot of riders. And so the whole concept of what they're trying to do, which is above our pay grade, admittedly, is arterial buses that mainly stay on arterials, neighborhood buses that mainly stay in neighborhoods, and then trying to increase the frequency generally and the transfer opportunities. So WMATA has had really literally countless meetings about this to try to spread awareness over the last couple of weeks. Councilmember Parker wanted to make sure that we spoke with one voice on these topics in Ward 5. And so he put together a bus task force of a lot of members of the community. I was one of those. I served on the bus task force, and our remit was to review what WMATA had come up with and come up with constructive suggestions on how to do better. And we had a boatload. There's a lot of routes that obviously serve Eckington and Edgewood, but ones that came up a lot in the public discussion was the G8 and the P6. Other ones came up also. I don't want to do short service to them, but the idea behind what WMATA wants to do to the G8 is primarily keep it on Rhode Island Avenue and run it more frequently. I think every 12 minutes, maybe every 10 minutes. And then at the east end, rather than running it short, running it down South Dakota Avenue to the Costco development out there on the eastern part of the city. That leaves a part of Edgewood that's currently served by the G8 not served. And in fact, one of the key pieces of feedback that Councilmember Parker's task force gave was that we need to make sure that is addressed, that group of people have service in that area of the city. On the P6, which if you haven't had the pleasure, that's my neighborhood route, it might be some of yours. It starts in, where does it start?
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island, starts at Rhode Island Avenue, leaves Rhode Island Avenue, goes through Eckington, jumps down R Street, which is a very narrow street, and then down North Capitol where it gets stuck in traffic, and then down to downtown along K Street, and then down to Anacostia. It moves very slowly. It's caught in a lot of traffic. Ridership is very low, and the frequency is very low. It sometimes is as little as every 75 minutes. So WMATA wants to restructure it. They don't want to run any route that runs less than every 30 minutes, this one included, and they want to make it more of a neighborhood route. So the concept they have is starting in Union Market, looping around Florida, and then up through Eckington, and then continuing on actually up to, I think, the Walmart in Fort Totten. So connecting, they're trying to make sure that there's stuff on every end. One of the suggestions they have is moving, in WMATA, is moving right now, the route kind of snakes through Eckington and is primarily on 4th Street in the northern part of the neighborhood. They want to move it completely to 2nd and 3rd and then have it go on Rhode Island for a little bit. The feedback from the task force, from Councilmember Parker's task force, is trying not to have buses serve Rhode Island Avenue Metro and that loop unless they're starting there or ending there, because it's, if you've taken that, it's quite a long
forever
time to get in and then get out. So rather than coming up to Eckington, going to the Rhode Island Avenue Metro, coming back, and then continuing on to Edgewood, the suggestion from the task force is just run that straight through and then make sure we have frequent transfers to the Rhode Island Avenue bus that would then fill that connection, both for people going west to downtown and east.
So that's the P6 you're talking about?
Yes, it's the P6. There's obviously other routes that were part of the Ward 5 report that don't necessarily serve Edgewood and Eckington. They're not really covered in this resolution. This resolution focuses on one, endorsing the concept of frequent express service on Rhode Island Avenue as they've envisioned. 2, asking that it actually run fast, because right now the G8 does not necessarily run very fast. 3, that some other route be extended west of Rhode Island Avenue to connect our neighborhoods to Shaw or U Street or somewhere to the west. 4, making sure that Trinidad and Edgewood do not lose service compared to what we have now. And 5, recommending that P6 restructuring not serve the Rhode Island Avenue Metro Station. In addition, the report kind of went a little beyond just routes. The task force report, it also recommended that WMATA get more active in making sure bus shelters are deployed and that the current bus to rail transfer penalty be eliminated. Because right now, if you go from bus to rail, you pay more than if you're going the other way
Hmm.
around. So this resolution essentially takes those recommendations and makes it the position of ANC 5F in addition to it being kind of Councilmember Parker's position as well. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
With that being said, was the restructuring or the thought of restructuring G8 was taken under consideration about the 4th Street being reopened? Or was it as is? Because the northbound side of 4th Street is closed. It's only the southbound one. And right now the G8 is going all around to make sure they pick up the people there. And that is a large quantity in the mornings, people going to school and to work downtown and beyond. And as far as the P6, same goes there. I'm not understanding why they're gonna pull it out. I can understand it on the other end, not making it a complete cross-town bus. But to take it from Rhode Island Avenue, where people don't have the fare to catch the subway, but can catch the bus. And sometimes people get to work on one bus instead of changing bus after bus after bus. That's where the headache comes in at. I'm just asking.
Are there other comments or questions?
Yes, and by the way, this is great work. I appreciate, all your efforts on consolidating all these comments back and forth. My one question is, it looks like instead of using 2nd Street and 3rd Street, was there a recommended change for this new P6 called the 302 to continue to use 4th Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in there.
Okay, and was there any consideration? I mean, sure, it's great to go to Union Market, but any farther south to kind of extend that line into like the Capitol Hill area or anything like that? Is that considered?
Yeah, if I can answer. I don't think that came up in the discussion. So I don't want to say that, I certainly don't want to say it came up and we decided not to do that. What did come up was the importance of Trinidad and Edgewood being connected to Washington Hospital Center on one end and Union Station or downtown on the other. That's in Councilmember Parker's report and it's in this resolution. It's not necessarily specifically saying it needs to be the 302 bus, just a bus.
Got it.
You're talking about the Trinidad one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember any D8, like what they did to the D8, if anything?
The main thing we focused on, and I get confused which one is the D8 and which one is the D4, but the main thing we were focused on is they were both reducing the number of routes and the frequency in Trinidad, and so I think the main we were saying like they can't do that, and that
and if you're going to connect Trinidad to anything, you kind of got to go through us. So let's not reduce service in Edgewood.
The one that goes to like Northwest wasn't actually that threatened, and the other one I think was cut, and I think that is that the one that comes through Edgewood.
Both of the G8 and the D8 goes through Edgewood.
Well, I know the G8.
The D8 goes through from Washington Hospital Center to Union Station via Trinidad.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think that one was changed that significantly. I think it was the D4 that was changed.
The D4 runs K Street up to I'm not quite sure. Reynolds one.
I don't recall whether it was changed, but I will note the resolution says make sure that Trinidad and Edgewood are connected to Washington Hospital Center and Union Station.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no additional comments. Thank you.
If there are no additional comments, I believe it is time to call for a vote.
One more question.
Oh, Chair.
I know it's a last minute question, my bad. Are they trying to change the G8 route? Yeah, G8 route.
So on the west end, right now it goes to Chinatown first and then Metro Center. Instead, they'll have it go to Metro Center first and then Chinatown. And then on the east, they're right near each other. Yeah,
Go down 9th or 11th.
Yeah.
is kind of-
So they
Right
wanna-
now it goes down 9th.
They want to send it down 11th, which is a little faster, I guess. It saves 2 minutes according
Oh,
to
they're
their
trying
modeling.
to
So
do the downtown.
yeah. That's on the west end. On the east end, right now, it goes to Avondale. And instead they're going to send it all further down Rhode Island, further up Rhode Island, I guess, to South Dakota Avenue, and then down South Dakota to the Costco development there.
They got 3 buses going to Costco.
They do have a lot of buses going to Costco. And one of the feedback in the task force report is they should probably build a transit center there if they're sending all these buses to Costco.
They do, because the GA you catch at Brooklyn to go to Costco, that's H6, 2, outside there.
Yeah.
Nosy.
They got a lot of great maps. It's a fun website to play around with.
That's what I'm saying, why they gonna send the GA there? When a lot of people go out to shop right at the DC Maryland line, where the GA takes them.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't make sense, but okay.
I'll just emphasize this is the beginning of this project. They are hungry for comments and input, both on the website and generally, and this helps them along.
I've been putting my inputs in.
Good.
All right. The acting chair will call the roll on the resolution on Rhode Island Avenue, Northeast Better Bus Proposal and Safety Improvements. Commissioner Anderson.
She is back. Let me. She should go.
Sorry, I'm back. I vote aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst votes yes. Commissioner Pinckney, not here. Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
And Commissioner Williams.
No.
So no.
No.
So that's 5 and 1.
If you wouldn't mind keeping it with you.
Yes, and then the other one is Resolution E, which is the resolution on NOI number 22116 TOA, which is the 1500 block of the Harry Thomas Way and the 1600 block of the Eckington Place Northeast.
Thank you.
It is pulled for discussion at this
Yeah, that's what
moment.
we're doing right now.
So if
Was that
people have,
that's the one you meant to pull, right?
Right.
Okay,
if anyone would like to have comments or questions, I will recognize them.
I can start.
Well, I ain't mean to pull it. I meant to say, can we table that? Because Commissioner Pinckney is here on this one. The voice her side.
If I could speak before we do.
Yeah.
that.
Sure, Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
On May 18th, DDOT notified all of us that they are seeking an NOI, or they're issuing an NOI on these changes. They've asked for feedback by July 3rd. And so what are these changes? It's on the east side, which for the record is in 5F06 of 1501 Harry Thomas Way, and then on 1600 Eckington Place. At 1501 Harry Thomas Way, there is a lot of people who are parking in the crosswalk, or the lack of a crosswalk, or the lack of half a crosswalk that's going on there. And so DDOT has proposed installing, in response to numerous residential complaints, which some of which I've been CC'd on, to put in a 40-foot no parking entrance there that will operate from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. This proposed resolution supports that, but asks that it be a 24-hour no parking zone. This is the crosswalk in front of the building we're talking about. There really is no reason for anybody to be parking. On the commercial loading zone, that's just a bit further south at 1500 Harry Thomas Way. There's, I don't know why they didn't put in a commercial loading zone to begin with. So we've got a lot of trucks and so forth that are operating there. DDOT proposes establishing a 40-foot, again, commercial loading zone there, which will operate Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. with a 2-hour limit. I don't have any problem with all those, with those changes. They're what residents have been asking for pretty consistently since these projects have opened. We do, in this proposed resolution, indicate our support, but add the conditions of: 1, completing that road striping and crosswalk markings consistent with the original drawings. That 2, DDOT extend the no parking zone to make sure that it completely covers the crosswalks, and that 3, that the no parking zone be 24-hour. And then I would ask commissioners to vote against the proposed amendment because this is due July 3rd. We've all had this since May 18th. Plenty of opportunity to provide feedback or get involved in it.
The chair
I
recognizes
never
Commissioner
received
Williams.
that. I never received that. You stated we all have this, we've had it since May. I never received that.
Chair.
I will check the record, but DDOT is pretty good about sending this stuff out.
Okay, I just want you to know,
Yeah.
I did not receive that information.
At this point,
I will say it was noticed here at least 10 days ago, and you did receive that.
I'm gonna check. Go ahead, I'm listening.
all right, if there are other comments, the chair will recognize. Anyone else who would like to make a comment? Commissioner Sani is recognized.
Our next meeting, official meeting is July 25th, which is a Tuesday, which is 22 days after the deadline. So I think that is useful to at least inform how we react today.
I guess I'd like to motion and move it forward, I guess, if that's. Yeah.
Commissioner Calderon
Yeah.
has called for a vote. I will call the roll.
Do we have a second? Sorry.
Oh, do we have a second to?
Second.
Good. All right, I will now call the roll. Commissioner Anderson.
I vote aye.
Okay. Commissioner Bishop Benjamin.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst. Aye. Commissioner Pinckney. Here. Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
And Commissioner Williams. That was no.
No.
Okay. Recorded. All right, I will relinquish the chair back to Commissioner Bishop Benjamin.
Thank you, Mr. Sani, and thank you, everybody. Next up, we have other reports and presentations. I put library after them, I think, right? Okay, so first one will be the BZA applicant for 1701 2nd Street Northeast. I'm not sure who the presenter is, so if you just want to either raise your hand or make yourself noticeable.
Marty Sullivan.
Mr. Sullivan, I think.
Can you hear me? This is Marty Sullivan. I'm zoning counsel for the applicant. And Adam Crane should be with us as well. I see his hand up. He's the architect for the project.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm gonna need some, I guess, permission to screen share so I can show these drawings.
All right.
It says it's disabled right now.
Please hold. All right, you should have permission now.
All right. All right, my name's Adam Crane with Two Plies Architects. Today we're presenting 1701 2nd Street. This is a 3-unit conversion. We need a special exception from the BZA for that 3rd unit. So I'll go ahead and dive in. Some overview renderings here. It's kind of an existing row house with a footprint kind of like I'm sketching here. So kind of this area on the side and the rear is where we're proposing addition. We are not proposing a 3rd floor addition. It is really a lateral expansion of the sides and the rear with roughly 1 unit per floor. Here's the existing site plan, and I'll show the proposed after this. You see that the front's staying the same, the porch is staying the same, and that addition is expanding kind of all this area on the front and the side. there's an existing walkway entrance here that will remain, and another one at the front there. All of these are family-sized units. The cellar unit 1, we have a 5-bedroom down there. The first floor, a 4-bedroom unit. On the upper level, another 5-bedroom unit for unit 3. They range between 1,022 and 1,214 in total square footage per unit. We have some of the enlarged floor plans here. Not sure if you want to go into any of that detail, but sections just kind of reinforcing that, you know, this is a side addition and rear addition. We're not topping up or proposing anything as far as a 3rd floor addition. It's really cellar, 1st and 2nd floor. So in terms of other BZA projects, this one is probably a more simple one. We will have a trash area here in the rear. There is no parking on site. This does not have any alley access. And I actually don't believe VDOT would approve a curb cut if we were to propose one because it's so close to the corner. And I think they might not even approve one for the 1 parking space. So there's no parking provided on site for this. So I will let Marty go into the details of the relief, and after that we can take any questions and discuss.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, I think.
Thank you. So yeah, there's 3 areas of relief. One area of relief is for the conversion to 3 units. So that requires a special exception. The basic condition for that is that there be 900 square feet of land area for each unit. And we have that because the lot's more than 2,700 square feet. The parking special exception, the condition for that is that we can't provide the parking. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is its proximity to the intersection. The other is, and I don't know, Adam, I don't know if you have any street view photos or not. There's a fairly significant retaining wall here, and to put a parking space on the property would remove a lot of earth and part of the retaining wall too. Also, providing a curb cut would probably take away 2 or 3 spaces while just providing 1. So it's not a net benefit to be able to put a parking space in there. And then the 3rd area of relief is for architectural elements for the porch roof. And Adam, I don't know if you have any photos. The porch roof is
it's really the side bay roof here. Sorry,
okay.
That I'm circling. Is that yeah? And I'm not sure that this would be designated, but I figured we would include that just because zoning has different interpretations from time to time. But yeah, it's the roof over this little side bay that's going to be encapsulated by the addition.
And that's kind of behind a tree. You can't really see it much now as it is. So those are the areas of relief. And if you have any questions for me about that.
I have a few questions, and then other people may have questions as well. I guess my first question would be, how much parking would you have to provide unless, if you were not able to get the special exception, what would you have to provide under the law, under the code?
1 space. Okay. 1 space. I mean, the requirement's 1 for every 2 units, but because there's already an existing single family, we are required to provide 1 more because we're going from 1 unit to 3 units.
Okay, so it would be.
So it's one space. Yeah, the requirement is 1 space.
1 additional to the one you have now, 2, or?
No, we don't have any right now. So if it was a matter of right, we would have to provide 1 parking space to do 3 units.
Okay.
And I think I should also mention that's also, Marty, correct me if I'm wrong, that's also if this was served by an alley, right? Because I believe in the parking code.
No, so actually the alley exception, if you're a single family dwelling or a 2-unit building and you do not have alley access, then you don't have a parking requirement at all.
That's right. Okay.
But that goes away once you hit 3 units.
I got you.
Second question is, are you aware of buildings you may not know this, but are you aware of buildings in Eckington similar to what you're planning or proposing to construct on the kind of 3 units with, I think it adds up to 14 bedrooms across the 3 units? Just so, I can point to, or somebody can point to an analogous case.
I'm not aware of any in Eckington offhand. I don't know, Adam, if you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, no, that's fine. And then
We do have some other projects that are doing a higher number bedroom count like this, just not in this neighborhood.
okay, okay, that's helpful to know. And then are there any kind of plans or commitments that you're planning to make about whether that be transit access or trash or where I'm kind of struggling with this a little bit is, I get I know what apartment buildings are, and I know what single family units are, and just trying to put this in one of the buckets. And so there are things that, we or the city requires of apartment buildings, but I don't think that necessarily that might apply here. So I'm just kind of wondering what you have in mind on that, and if I'm thinking about this the wrong way, then please tell me that.
I'm sorry. This is Marty. As in regard to the trash, I think, and I'm sorry, I don't know this offhand, but I think at 3 units or less, trash is still collected by the city. And once you get over 3, then you've got to get a private collection. And so under 3, it'll still be collected by the city. And I'm fairly sure about that. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
No, thank you. Yeah. And then like parking and transit, I don't know, are there any kind of plans that the development has for that?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
Like for some apartments that may have more units than parking spaces, they'll give smart trip cards. They'll have bike storage. They'll and that this is for larger apartments. So
yeah, okay. So like TDM measures. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would be willing to offer some of those. We don't usually we do that when DDOT requires it. They haven't. It's been a while now. Their policy is if you're asking for relief of just one space, they don't require TDN measures. But if there's something the ANC had a preference for or suggested, we could take that to the developer, and I'm sure he'd be willing to work with that.
I appreciate that. Well, that's my questions. We'll go to other questions and then questions from the community. Commissioner Galvan and Commissioner Hurst.
So I'm just curious, why did you decide 5 bedrooms for most of the units? What's your market? What's your target market here?
That was client driven. So I guess as the architect, I didn't decide that. If I had to guess where I'm seeing most of these, it's typically voucher units.
Okay. And then my other question is, there are 2 or 3 very significant trees that I would almost argue are heritage trees, at least the protection of those.
Yeah, and that's absolutely something that we've got to show. So as part of the permit process with DOEE, we'll be submitting an erosion control plan, And there will be tree protection details included on that. We've got to show our critical and structural root zones in those as well. So all the access to and from the site during construction will be called out to avoid those as much as possible and to maintain and protect them. And I would note that the client here is very experienced in DC. They have a very clear knowledge working construction on trees. So there's an experience base there to protect them. It's not a first timer or anything that'll be working.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's actually one of the reasons why the curb cut doesn't work either. There's a large street tree pretty close to where a curb cut would go.
Yeah, I recently learned about that particular tree, and it's been there a very, very long time. So I'd like to make sure that it stays there.
Yeah, that one's yeah, and there's one in the front of the property that shouldn't be in danger either as well. And then the smallest one is the one close to the house that'll go in. That's a much thinner, more of a brush tree. But yeah, the other two are safe.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Gavon. Commissioner Hurst.
So only one wall, it looks like in the plans, only one wall is retained of the original walls and the rest are blown out. Is that what I'm seeing? It's only the front facade that would be left of the original, correct?
Party wall in the front, correct, because we're doing both a side and a rear addition.
All right.
Other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Sani?
Just going back to your parking exception, you cited the proximity to the intersection as being one of the leading concerns there. Is that specifically with regards to a curb cut and where DDOT will allow them to occur?
Yeah, yes, I think DDOT, oh, sorry, go ahead, Marty.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was going to say, I think DDOT has a regulation that it's roughly 60 feet that nothing can happen from the curb. But we've also got this street tree that I'm quite positive if this one is heritage, that the arborist, urban forestry, as part of the DDOT review, would use that as a reasoning to deny it. Because that curb cut would probably be trying to come here directly through the structural root zone. So that tree would be killed if we tried to do a curb cut. And one on the front obviously wouldn't work. So that really the only logical location for a curb cut would be here, right where that tree's roots lie.
Thank you.
All right, other questions for commissioners? Questions from or comments from members of the public? You can use the raise hand feature and we will call on you. All right, Mr. Sandler, if we could unmute him. Yes, you're recognized, sir.
Hey, so I live on our street, more or less across from this. I just wanted to ask about construction hours and when what sort of time frame it would take to complete a project like this.
I think DC typically sets the construction hours. I think it's 7 to 7. Last time I checked. But I mean, they'll adhere to the DC regulated construction hours, and the time frame. Being that these guys are quite experienced, I'd say once the permits are approved, I would imagine this would be in the 8 to 10 month range, possibly faster.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Mr. Aiello. And I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Oh, no, you're good.
Okay.
I also live across the street on our street. If we could get the name of the developer, and you mentioned there's like a history of some other projects, that would be, I think that would be helpful for the community to evaluate.
Sure. Yeah, I can ask them to provide a list that can be distributed.
Go ahead, send that to me and I can circulate it. Just to let everybody know kind of procedurally where we're at, this is just an informational item this month. I plan on preparing a letter incorporating all the feedback that we have gotten and will get between now and whenever we vote on it, and of course we'll notice on that. Thank you. Did you have anything further you wanted to add?
I don't have anything else. This is Marty. Thank you so much for your time. And the hearing's on September 13th. So yeah,
Thank you.
We have time, obviously. So.
Great. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is presentation by the DC Public Library. Yeah, Ms. Sakosio, I think.
All right, should be good.
Right.
There we go.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you all?
The floor is yours.
I guess I can put my hand back down now. That's just going to distract me. Whoop, lower hand. Okay. Hi. I'm Martha Sakosio. I'm the Director of Community Engagement for DC Public Library. I'm actually not joined tonight. Sometimes I am joined by my co-pilot, Jaspreet Pawa, who is our Director of Capital Construction. She started a very well-deserved vacation tonight around 6 o'clock. And so I said I would handle this for the both of us. But I'm here just to give you an update on our plans for finding a location for a new library for the Edgewood-Eckington community. As most of you probably do know, commissioners, and I don't know how many of the members of the public know, the library issued a facilities master plan in the fall of 2020, unfortunately, right in the middle of the pandemic. But that plan had a number of recommendations in it. It identified some, what we called service gaps in certain areas of the city. One of those service gaps that was identified is in the Edgewood-Eckington neighborhood. The service gaps are based on a combination of looking at census data and sort of cross-referencing that census data with library usage data, so like known card holders. It also was based on community input. We held a number of meetings around the city, and actually this was one where we got a lot of just anecdotal feedback from residents that there was a real need for a library in this community. The plan also made the recommendation to close our small libraries. We have 4 small libraries right now. The smallest of which is the Northwest 1 Library. It's about 5,000 square feet. And we consider a full-size library, what we're looking to build in Edgewood-Eckington, probably about 4 times that size, about 20,000 square feet. So we are currently in the process of we're just getting started with 2 concurrent strains. One is that we are bringing on board a team that will do site selection in the sense that they will do a thorough survey of the neighborhood, and they will identify some options. They're not going to pick a final site, right? They're going to come up with probably a short list of real estate that is potentially available for a library. Concurrent with that, we're going to be conducting some community engagement to get input from residents on where they would like, options that they would like to see put on the table, and also probably, the types of things that they might like to see in their library. So both of those pieces of work are going to be getting underway really momentarily. Obviously, the ANC is a critical voice that we want to have included in that community engagement piece. We estimate that this initial phase of work will probably wrap up by the end of the fiscal year. Sometime early in the next fiscal year, we hope to have that short list of sites that then we would come back to the community again with that list once it's identified, and do further engagement with the community to try to refine that list. We try to find our criteria when we're looking for a site. We definitely prefer to own rather than to lease land. We want to be able to be the masters of our domain. The library does not actually purchase land, though. The city is who would actually purchase land on behalf of the library. We're essentially the stewards of that land as long as it's operating as a library. But even all the libraries that exist already in the city. They're actually owned, the land is owned by the district. We try to have no more than 2 stories to get that 20,000 square feet. Our dream scenario is if we can maybe get it all on one floor. Actually makes it a lot less expensive to operate, also potentially less expensive to build, and that we wouldn't need elevators and other things like that. We definitely want prominent frontage on, in areas where residents are already gathering, residents are already as part of their daily routine. We don't want to be like tucked away quietly in the back somewhere in a, on a quiet side street. We want to be where the people are going to be already out and about. Beyond that, I mean, we also look to, once we get to the design phase, we look to build something that really is design excellence, environmentally sustainable design. But all of that stuff is a little bit farther down the road. So don't want to take up too much time, but happy to answer any questions folks have, but mostly just here to, as an initial foray, to let you know we're getting started on this work.
Thank you, Ms. Sicoscio. Let's open up for questions from commissioners or comments. All right. We'll do questions from or comments from members of the public.
The fitness center is now closed. Please wrap up your workout.
Ms. Pitt.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Elena Pitt, and I live in Edgewood. I was wondering if it's on the table to potentially work with the city to put housing on top of the library, wherever it ends up being.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, we are certainly open to that. We do have one library already that has been designed and built that way. The West End Library has housing above it. We are certainly open to that. Again, we would want to be sure that we're in the driver's seat in terms of the design of the library portion. And actually, if anyone's ever interested, I'd be happy to give folks a tour of the West End Library, and we could, show you what we think, what worked really well there. Maybe even some lessons learned on what we might want to do differently. But I think it's a great example of how we can get both things done at once, for sure.
I'll reach out to you on that. I think that would be a good thing to set up. So
yeah, absolutely.
For members of the community as well. And I'll. If any member of the community wants to get more involved in this, we do have a library task force, and we're looking for more people to get involved in it.
I would also say, just in general, stop by some of our other recent builds, the Lamont Riggs Library, the Woodridge Library. They're both, not too terribly far from you all. I think both really great examples of what the library can do. The Southwest Library is another one that's we're really, really proud of. It's actually very innovative. The construction technique there is actually an incredibly innovative and sustainable approach to architecture.
Thank you, Ms. Sicoscio. How can people reach you if they want to reach you?
I will put my contact info in the chat. My email is just martha.sicoccio, which I'm sure everyone knows how to spell. At dc.gov. Email me anytime. I am around, and you all commissioners will be hearing from me probably quite soon about probably trying to do some stakeholder interviews with you all and have some more in-depth conversations about this project.
Thank you. And
I should also mention, I think I forgot to say this, we have funding, the first tranche of funding will be loading on October 1st for FY24.
I do it then, and if every commissioner could help out with this and supply names of people who would be interested in using services for a library, wants input into a library, I think the bigger and more diverse this group is, the better it will be served. Next up is Mr. Black from the mayor's office. I don't see him on, but I'm gonna pause in case he's here under a different name and we can call on him. All right, and we already heard from Mr. Bonner. Appointments to committees or task force, none were noticed. Does anybody have any right now? Seeing none. Announcements. I can go down the line if you want to start. Mr. Williams.
I have put in an opposition letter to zoning for the address of 638 Edgewood Street. One for improper notification to the community. That address borders the line between 5FO2 and 5FO3. I didn't receive any notifications about that property. And y'all send them to just wanted you to.
Okay.
No announcements.
I don't have any.
Oh yeah, I announced, DDOT has written a letter to us responding to one of our resolutions that we, as a commission, passed in, I believe, February or January. But they are offering now more firm deadline or timelines for their work on the 8th Street traffic safety project, which colloquially is regarded as closing the Metropolitan Branch Trail gap. They're going to start repaving in July, so please be aware of any parking changes around repaving and painting and all the other stuff, but that will kick off the project they hope to have complete by the start of school. So all of this was structured to make sure that we were not disrupting the 5 schools in that couple block radius. So just reminding the community mindful of that.
Commissioner Gallon.
Yeah, I'll just mention that I'm starting to receive a lot of the responses from DDOT and other agencies with respect to the resolutions. And I think it would be helpful and transparent for us to post those along on the website next to the letters, the resolutions that we passed. So I'll be working to do that so everyone can see that. And I encourage folks to read that because I think it really does help from a lot of your engagement to see that the district is responding and assisting with some of our requests.
Yes, and actually related to, and I'll call on Commissioner Anderson next. Related to that, I noticed today that the letters that we were getting back from DDOT were going to some but not all commissioners. So I've started forwarding them on to make sure that they go to everybody. Those were the responses to our resolutions. I think they were going to chair and sponsor and I think you all on a lot of them. So I'm not sure why they're picking who they're going to, but it's my practice to forward it to the full commission, and I think that's an excellent idea. It's important. You know, it does pain me and disturb me to hear that people feel like they're not getting everything. That's not what we're aiming to do. We're making sure that everything we're voting on is getting properly noticed. It's important that this happen, and you know, the district agencies are responsible for notifying all affected commissioners. And if we want to establish as a practice that every commissioner on this commission is an affected commissioner, I'm all for that. So how about, you know, how about we all make a commitment that whatever we get from an agency on anything, we forward to all the members of the commission. And then if it's an official response like the ones that Commissioner Galvin was saying, that also goes on the website. Is everyone good with that?
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't want us voting on stuff that people don't know about. And transparency is very important to me. I know it's important to everybody.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll note is Mr. Harris, Reginald Harris, who spoke each time. I actually did speak to DDOT about the intersection at 2nd and Channing and Lincoln Road. And there is a plan and a design to finally adjust that when speeding drivers are driving, you know, southwest, to really make a sharper turn so it forces them to slow down. I don't have a start date or anything like that, but I've at least seen plans on someone's cell phone, so that's a good start. And as soon as I get information, I will post that out. But I know that was a common request for an update on that. So,
and more generally in North Capitol, DDOT's looking at the slip lane, which is just outside of our commission area in 5E at the Malmo lot. They're looking at Lincoln Road. They're looking at a lot of stuff over there. So I'm sure we'll hear lots more about that over the next year. Commissioner Anderson, announcement.
None from my end.
All right, that concludes announcements. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Commissioner Sani. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection? No objection. We are adjourned at 8:48 p.m. Our next meeting will be, someone tell me. July 25th. Yes. Maybe here, maybe not. We'll see. We've been having some scheduling issues. It's very busy at the rec center in the summer, if you can believe it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.